Hello, everyone. Welcome to Decked. My name is Tyler, and with me is my friend Ray.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Thanks for coming back.
No problem.
So on Decked, we like to play tabletop games with a camera in the room, and then we come back and talk about the games, watch the games, and talk about them as they play out. On the screen in front of you, you see our friend Rod on the left and Ray himself on the right. They're playing a game of Call of Cthulhu, the card game.
Yes, we are.
So, Ray, what kind of deck are you playing?
I am playing a Silver Twilight Syndicate deck that I created a day before the tournament this time.
Which is about 23 hours longer than you normally wait, I believe.
Yes, it is. Actually, if you really want to get technical, it's probably about 2 days before that I started to come up with the idea. I actually built the deck the day before. Goldfished it a couple times, went, this is good, and brought it to the tournament.
And what's the goal of this deck?
Well, the original goal of this deck was to play perfectly into our meta until everybody changed their decks they were playing at this tournament, because we had literally played a tournament the week before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, all right.
The Black Moon series, you should check that out on youtube.com/deckshow.
Yep. So I was like, all right, I am going to build a deck that can win on its own, but can, face up against those decks. The only person who ended up playing the same deck was you.
I am very true to form.
Everybody else ended up playing a different deck. So it really wasn't too bad. I only basically teched in maybe 1 or 2 cards here and there. 3 copies of each, unfortunately. But it did make for some easy resourcing when I wasn't playing.
And that's just sort of part of this model of game where you have people who build a deck of cards and then bring it to an event. It's like you're playing the mind game of, are they going to stick with that? Are they going to change? Oh,
yeah, definitely. I mean, and that's what a meta is all about, I suppose.
Certainly on the local level.
Yes, definitely on the local level.
It's like, well, that guy, he always plays mill decks, so...
Exactly, and that's one of the things. Carlo's been playing his mill deck pretty exclusively recently during the tournaments.
Competitively, absolutely.
Competitively, right. And he changed it up this time, which meant my Satchels of the Voids were really not going to do me much good. But it did make for easy resourcing and getting it in there.
So Rod's just played down the Guardian and realized that we need story cards, so that's taken care of.
Yep.
Rod is playing a deck he calls Night of the Avatars, which is centered around the avatars that were just released in the 1,000 Young box set. Sort of the different faces of the ancient one, Nyarlathotep. And the avatars have an interesting way of being able to bounce in and out of hand based on what Nyarlathotep himself is doing.
Yes.
So I find it's a great way of expressing the story element of Nyarlathotep in all his different faces in a mechanical way that people want to play in their game.
That is that guy makes it night.
That's clarifying. And one of the joys of a new set of cards is we don't know them all by sight yet.
Coincidentally enough, that's not from the new set. I own that card. I'm trying to remember what it is. Ghoul Sage.
Shagab?
Ghoul Sage. I think that's who that was.
We'll find out. So Rod's just played the festival, and he's using it to sacrifice a resource to go find a resource in his deck and attach it to that a drain domain.
Man, I got a lot of gray hairs. Sorry.
Yeah, you do. I know. It's really disconcerting to see the back of your head, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I try not to lean in front of the camera.
It wasn't really a surprise that I have all those gray hairs. I know I do. But it was just a surprise to see him on camera like that. What I was doing is I was leaning over to read the festival, because the festival has a lot of clauses where it's like you got to put it on a drain domain, you got to take it off a drain domain, this, that, and the other thing. And so I was making sure that all of those precautions were being played correctly.
Right. And there's a Baleful Reveler, I believe.
That is a Baleful Reveler, which keys off of it being night.
He enjoys it being night. He gets some extra combat icons.
Yes, he does.
And that's the extent of Rod's turn. He festivaled for a festival, so he's getting that loop going where he can keep searching and ramping and moving the festival back and forth.
Right. Now, my deck it does have a day-night control aspect to it. It was actually, and there it is, it's a gold pocket watch. And that was actually to combat... to help me. I have cards that require it to be day or night. And that was to help me kill Savios. I just played an initiate.
The Initiative Huang Han.
Yes, the initiative Huang Han. When the initiate comes into play,
You may.
he may no, actually, the initiate is a
No. Optional.
forced. Are you sure about that?
Positive. It is an optional response to return the initiate to hand to cause the other player to return a character to hand.
Okay, it is an optional response, but it's after he has play. Each player returns a character he controls to his
That's
owner's
true.
hand to Fable. You don't have to return the initiate, but if it's the only character you have, you do have to return.
Or if you want to be bouncing multiple characters on the other side.
Exactly.
Or unless you have 2 initiates out.
Right.
Initiate was a recent de-restriction from the list.
Yes, he was, which I did not know going into this. I will claim my ignorance on that.
So this deck could be made even more potent.
Yes, this deck can be made even more potent. I actually have ideas to do that. So.
What do you have a restricted card in mind?
I did. I just can't remember what now.
Faction?
So Syndicate, because of all the restricted Syndicate cards out
Oh
there.
yeah. Master of the Myths.
Master of the Myths. I was thinking that, or possibly one of the more recently restricted cards. I do believe was B-Ram Still Brown recently restricted? No,
If he is, I'm gonna cry.
no, he wasn't restricted. It was one of the other ones. Dirk.
No, Dirk was one of the not restricted jumpers.
Not restricted, right? There was another restricted Silver Twilight character recently that was good for recycling things that I was thinking about.
So Rod festivaled again for another festival, and now he's just played down Savio Corvi, who's a conspirator.
And I'm killing Savio.
Are you able to kill Savio?
I just put my last token on too. There's a conspiracy in play. He's a night card.
Right, he's not. Okay, yeah, that's the way through, because I was seeing there was a conspiracy in play, which is enabling his immunity.
Right, but makes him into a night card. So
and you make it day.
I make it day, and makes the Pocket Watch a day card. So
Yep, and Savio himself destroys himself basically because he has the
Yep.
destroy one day text.
Yeah,
solid choice.
the Archmage's attaché, right?
Tom
Yes.
Caper's briefcase.
Tom Caper's yes, Tom Caper's briefcase.
Another recent addition from the Thousand Young set. And interesting in that it can attach to either player's deck.
Yes, it can.
I don't know if we're going to get to see it ever put on the other person's deck.
Yeah, I mean, you really kind of build it to play on your deck. You build a deck around it to.
Yeah, but then it has that ignore the resourcing, resource matching.
Right, which is perfect for Rod's Avatar deck.
Yeah. Right, I'm just thinking in terms of the other player's deck, but then
Right, there's the initiate. We're gonna keep
Yep.
bouncing that initiate back and forth.
that is the primary use of the initiate.
Yes. That is an inside man.
Mm-hmm. What's the inside man's problem?
The inside man. What did he just do? So after he exhausts, you can reveal the top 3 cards of a player's deck, then put those cards back on top of that deck in any order.
Oh. So the
So
the
he
inside man would tie in well with the attaché.
Yes, it would. And in this case, Rod just revealed 2 avatars and the big man himself, Nyarlathotep.
Wow, that's a full draw, because I see Anku, the neutral avatar,
Yep,
Claude Owens, Yogg-Sothoth's avatar.
yep, and Nyarlathotep.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm choosing the order in which to put those. And I think I'm keeping them in the same order they were. Yep.
Now, does Rod know,
Rod does get to see which order
Okay.
I'm putting the cards in, which is
Right.
why I'm now showing him.
which gives him information for the attaché?
Exactly.
So were you stacking it such that he could not play the? I mean, he couldn't period based on his drain domains, but
Right, based on his drain domains, he couldn't period. One thing that I realized relatively quickly is that it really doesn't make that much of a difference, because as soon as basically he's going to draw 2 cards, and that third card's probably going to get shuffled via the activation of the festival.
yes. Well, he's got to drain a domain first, so he might play off the top card
This is true.
and
He
then
might.
use the festival. Because optimal use of the festival means you have at least one drained domain
Right,
to put a resource under.
right. So right now he's sitting with Claude on top of his deck.
Man, I feel like we have the inside look into Rod's hand right now. We know 2 of the cards in his hand. We know the top of his deck.
I did. I stopped. I stopped using the inside man as this match went on. As a matter of fact, that may have been one of the only times I triggered it, and I realized afterwards I should have been triggering it on myself to smooth out my own draws.
Ah. You just weren't thinking of it, or you were concentrating on other things?
I wasn't thinking of it. I was concentrating on other things. I realized it about 2/3 of the way through the game. I was like, oh.
And what's his triggering condition? Can you
When
do
he
it any-
exhausts.
Oh, okay. So a lot.
Yeah, basically anytime I'm just gonna go exhaust him.
I see his one icon is an investigation.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean he may not get to refresh all that often.
Right. But he did. He got me 3 success tokens first turn on the conspiracy there. So.
And now, when you're playing against a deck where you know Savio is involved, is that your priority to remove the conspiracy?
Sometimes, sometimes not. In this particular case, it was more. I liked the added benefit from having the Guardian in my one pile.
Right.
And it also it makes it so that the opponent has to think, because a lot of times after you get that one conspiracy in play, unless it's a conspiracy that's forcing you to go to it to get rid of it to make life easier on you, such as pervasive toxemia or some of the agency ones that came out in the agency box
Just
set.
think of the Anderson building.
Right. So unless it's something you want to get off the board, most people just forget about it. And then it becomes, for your opponent who played the conspiracy, it becomes an easy resource for them as the game goes on, because they get their conspiracy. Oh, I can only have one in play. I'm just going to toss this one down and resource it.
Yep. Unless you know you're going to be plowing through the resource quickly for some reason.
Right.
Or plow through the conspiracy, I should say.
Right. So sometimes I do it just to keep my opponent from having those clean draws later for a thing like Savio.
Oh, to make them choose?
Yeah, to make them choose. So it's like, oh, I got another Savio. Oh, what do I do?
I like that. It's one of the. I'm not going to say there are few ways to sort of force your opponent to make choices in this game, but that's an interesting way to do it.
Right. And in this case, it might not be the best strategy technically, because if he's got another Guardian, because the Guardian has a comes into play ability, he can trigger that again now if I win that conspiracy. So.
Yeah, you're sort of blocking him from doing it again.
Right, by not winning the conspiracy. But at the moment, it made the most sense to me.
So he's been doing some festival shenanigans. Oh, what is it? Can't tell.
It's Lazy Eyes.
Ah, good for searching for conspiracies.
Yes. Also good for him now that he has 2 characters on the board. My initiate's not going to bounce his only character on the board every turn.
That must. I mean, how many times you played out that Reveler? At least 3.
That was the 3rd time. Yeah, he played it on the first turn. I bounced it. He played the second turn. I bounced it, and now he's got it out there this turn.
Possibly as bounce fodder.
Right, and he just went and got the Guardian again.
Yep. Because he's certainly motivated to have conspiracies out.
Yes. The other thing, if I recall, I wasn't feeling that well this day, which put my game a little bit off from its normal, crazy losingness.
Well, I don't want to give spoilers or anything, but this match is less than an hour.
Yeah, this is true. When Rod and I play, it's usually well over an hour. So, Plague Stone. Destroy the Plague Stone with a pocket watch.
2 iron wills that will just not give up the game.
Yeah, very much so. So I did. I just destroyed the Plague Stone with the pocket watch, so he could get it back. Shuffled it back into his deck. I think that's where I decided, man, using the inside man's not going to do me a lot of good, because he's just going to keep shuffling that thing.
Does he shuffle after you reveal?
No. But he shuffled, like in this particular case, he shuffled for the festival, then the Plague Stone went back in, so he shuffled for that.
I see. Stacking the deck isn't going to give you a lot of foreknowledge.
Right.
Yep.
Apparently, I was thinking I was going to play Carl Stanford, but that's not what I was going to do.
That looks like a Muirman.
That is a Muirman.
And who do you immure?
Old Lazy Eyes.
Interesting choice.
I was getting rid of the terror icon on the board.
I see.
Especially since I know he just went and got another Guardian.
Yep, and then you bounce the Reveler.
And I bounced the Reveler, right? I used my last 2 to play a Lamp.
You love your Lamp.
I do love Lamp. I love Lamp. What can I say?
So that gives Inside Man a pretty impressive spread.
Yeah, it gives him 1 of everything and 2 investigation total. So I'm going to win that. So now I've got the passive ability of the Guardian.
Which is?
Wow. The passive ability of the Guardian, I do believe it costs 1 more to target my characters.
I definitely, yeah, it's definitely some sort of additional cost to be targeting characters. I just couldn't remember the number off the top of my head.
Yeah, I do believe it's one because they do stack. So if I had like if I had 2 guardians over there, if I had 3, I would have won the game technically. So
Sure.
If I have 2 guardians over there, then it costs 2 more to target my characters. Not that there's much targeting going on over there, but
No. From what we've seen of Rod's deck so far in this series, there's not a lot of targeting the other side.
right. I love lamp.
That particular lamp for sure.
That particular lamp for sure. Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably one of the cards that's going to end up getting cut.
I feel like it's just sort of a... I know a lot of people are down on attachments, but I feel like that's a fairly useful attachment in terms of it's providing things the Syndicate's lacking.
Very much so, especially in the case of the terror icon that it provides. When providing, if you want to give characters terror icons, not just give them willpower to avoid going insane.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually want to have some presence on the terror side of the board, you don't have a ton of options if you're going with the human factions.
Mm-hmm.
You do get you can get one from the lamp with Syndicate here. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. The Tico Tico talisman is what I always call it.
Oh, the Chocho.
The Chocho talisman, yes. The Chocho talisman is a good neutral attachment to give your characters some terror icons, and it shuffles back into your deck.
Mm-hmm. And Lena can steal a terror. Lena DeBorio from the Syndicate faction.
Yes, Lena can steal a terror. And then obviously there's the Hatchet Man and Mr. David Pan, who can both do the...
I think you're right. That is Shugab the Ghoul Sage. I
Yes.
agree now. I now agree with your assessment.
There's actually a surprisingly few number of cards in the Shub-Niggurath that make it night.
That is true. Number of cards that key off it.
Right, but very few that actually make it night.
So Shugab is one of them, as you're saying.
Yes, Shagab is one of them. Nug, Yug now.
Yeb.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeb and Savio if there's a conspiracy in play.
Yep.
After that, think there's one attachment maybe that does, but that's about it.
Yeah.
From the new set, or not from the newest set, but from the
But a number of other ghouls
Thousand Young.
care about if it's night or not day.
Right. A lot of them care about if it's not day.
Yep.
But then things like Dark Rebirth, which we've talked about in a previous episode, that requires it to be night to
We
play.
talk a lot about Dark Rebirth, period.
Yes.
We all want to play that card. We never get to play that card.
Uh-oh, here he comes.
So that's the agency avatar, I believe.
Yes, that is the agency avatar.
Rod's got an interesting sort of rainbow effect in this avatar deck because
Yes.
Nyarlathotep can let him put avatars into play without worrying about their resource matching.
And the Archmage's attaché can also allow him to play them without having to worry about resource matching.
Also true. And I believe that's a Thunder in the East.
That is a Thunder in the East, and there goes my pocket watch. A very emphatic destruction of my pocket watch.
Now, was that during his operations phase?
I'm guessing so.
Well, we're going to roll with it with still operations. Yeah, because
Yes.
he's still playing characters. And there's old Lazy Eyes.
Yes, because I had... No, what's a new old Lazy Eyes? Because I had mirrored the previous one.
Mm-hmm. That's a new Lazy Eyes, and that's a new conspiracy. We've seen all the Guardians now.
Yes, all Guardians are either in my one pile or in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it is currently night. Lazy Eyes does not have his terror icon.
No conspiracy in play, yep. Rod cannot play a conspiracy yet. I believe there's a marker on that third domain.
I do believe there is as well.
Checking out the Inside Man with his full array of icons.
Yes. Not something you really want to run into right away.
Yeah.
Lamps will do that.
You're all drained out as well, I think.
Yep,
Not
and
anymore, because
it just passed the turn to me.
Rod passes the turn.
I've drawn 2 cards. Now we know I have an initiate in my hand.
Mm-hmm. So you could definitely just clean out the other side of the board and let the Inside Man do his work.
Right. Well, I mean, I can bounce one character back at this point in time. And it's of his choice, so.
Right, but you could do it twice if you bounce the initiate.
Right.
And that's where a lot of people will point that out, that it's sort of the initiate's drawback is you can clear out any number of characters. It's just that's all you've done.
Right. There's Carl.
Carl.
This is Carl Goddamn Stanford.
Goddamn Stanford.
Carl Goddamn Stanford keeps cards from having their cost reduced.
Non-Silver Twilight.
Non-Silver Twilight cards from having their cost reduced. Correct. Unfortunately, the Nyarlathotep does not reduce the cost of the avatars he puts into play. He just exchanges place with them.
Yep. And Carl also allows the retrieval of spells and rituals.
There's my new pocket watch, and then I triggered my pocket watch to destroy the Ghoul Sage.
Nobody likes Shugab.
Nope. But I love my pocket watch. I kept toying around with decks with the pocket watch in it and like really caring about using it more on my turn to make it day or night, depending on what I needed for certain cards. There's a lot of Syndicate cards that care about, it's like, if it's day, you get this. If it's night, you get this.
I was just thinking about that. There's Carnivale Sentinel. There's the Restless Caporeone.
Right. And I was less about... I decided I wanted to use the pocket watch less for that. There's actually a fairly strong day-night aspect to our meta. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use it as a removal card.
That's true. We do tend to build decks that go mostly towards night. I haven't
Mostly
seen
towards
many
night,
day decks.
I don't think I've seen many day decks, period, even in like online and stuff like that.
It's true. I mean, I think the most reason people are using day now at all is for like the Guardian of Dawn. Also from Silver Twilight, because she gets extra icons, and suddenly a 1-drop has 3 icons, which is pretty excellent.
Right, and I have her in this deck. I also have Hermetic Seals, which is a great way to make a day if you're playing Silver Twilight.
I'm still puzzled by the rest of Hermetic Seal, but one cost to make a day is pretty good.
I actually, not in a game that we videotaped, but in a different game that was played that day, I was able to shut down. I was playing against Carlo, and it's not the deck that he's playing in the tournament here. It was just a friendly match. But I was able to... I had a first turn Hermetic Seal out, and he was going to do the whole first turn Nug thing, and I shut off the Nug ability.
Nice.
Yeah, so he got it into play and everything. He just wasn't able to get all the extra resources from it.
Yeah. So he did like Priestess of Bubastis, Arthur Todd.
Exactly, that's exactly what he did. Yep. And then...
Yep. He's very happy about that combo. I got that combo from him.
Yeah. And then I was like, boom, Hermetic Seal, no more Nug stuff.
So you had yours on the table, and he was just so psyched about the combo he didn't notice.
Yep, that was exactly it.
Yep. So there's the Baron.
There's the Baron. Yep, I'm reading what the Baron does. I do believe I'm commenting on the fact that is my second favorite piece of artwork in that box set. My first favorite is Anku. I don't know why I have a thing for scythes.
You want to be a farmer?
Yeah, or the Grim Reaper, one or the other. Honestly, it's honestly it is a Grim Reaper thing. It's because my high school mascot was the Grim Reaper. So
interesting high school.
We were the Phantoms, but the Grim Reaper was our mascot.
You weren't the Fighting Adamses or something?
No.
My high school was the Rebels, and I believe they've even downgraded from that because it's been a steady progression away from the Confederacy.
Yes. No, we were the Phantoms, and Death was our mascot.
Very good. Ray comes from Halloween Town, by the way.
Yes, apparently I come from Halloween Town.
So I believe that's the Prepared Alienist that he's resourcing.
That is a Prepared Alienist he's resourcing.
Prepared Alienist is an interesting card that prevents characters from changing hands or jumping into play.
Right.
Considering the number of jumpers we've been playing to date, you think that would have shown up more often, but it never really did. Probably because everybody wanted to play a jumper.
Yeah.
But now with the recent FAQ restriction, there are so few jumpers that are unrestricted. You have to really want to work with that.
Oh, there's the big baddie himself.
Yep, Nyarlathotep. Carlo is undoubtedly making homage from outside the camera's view.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised he's not coming into camera's view.
I think he did a couple times. You're certainly talking to him right now.
Yes.
So again, the interesting thing one of the nice things about Rod's deck is he's getting down a lot of high cost, high stat ability characters. In this case, he's got 2 and Old Lazy Eyes.
Right.
But his deck is, as you mentioned, sort of built to ramp up to that and then be consistently playing out multiple high cost characters.
Now, I should point out that you can reduce the cost of Nyarlathotep to play him normally. But Rod wasn't too worried about that because he had ramped up so fast.
Right. Yeah. And we saw that in the last match as well. But yeah, you can put an avatar back into hand to reduce the cost?
I think so. Oh, there's the Guardian again. And Rod's not going to go search for something? Apparently not.
He might be out. There may not be any more night or day cards.
He should have Plague Stone in there at the very least.
It's true.
Gets shuffled back in, so unless he's resourced them all.
I do see a lot of white over on his domains.
That's true, and for that matter, the Ghoul Sage is a...
Mm-hmm. But we know one of those white cards is the Alienist.
The Alienist, right. He could also just be looking at the board going, I really don't need to reset it right now.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be kind of
Rod's...
non-advantageous to him to reset the board at the moment.
It's true, but Rod was the one who really put that sort of board reset mechanic into focus for me.
Right.
When I was learning to play card games, it was like, Wrath of God, why would you want to destroy all your cards? I did not understand the utility of it.
Yeah.
And then Rod put us like, now I could reset the game, and we can move forward, and I feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
And you've also probably depleted your hand significantly by that point in the game.
Very much so. And in a rush strategy, it's really good because a lot of times, your opponent's built up defenses against your rush, and you should be able to, after resetting the board like that, re-rush is the idea.
Right, but you also need to be drawing, or otherwise you cannot play out the cards to be rushing.
Right.
That's the thing that always gets me about Miskatonic is like, I feel like there's supposed to be the draw faction. It's just when you start doing the math on the cards, there's not so much draw as just sort of substituting what was on top of the deck.
Yeah, there is a lot of that, I suppose.
Maybe I'm just focused on Surprising Find, because that was the one I played last. Anyways, he gets to drop 3 tokens on a story.
Yes, he does, and he's using Nyarlathotep's ability. He just succeeded at a story with him, so he's sacrificing Nyarlathotep.
It's a sack, okay.
Yes.
Very good.
And now he's putting in...
the support blanker.
Clive Owen, is that it?
I want to say Harley, but Harley's not right.
No.
Anyways, it's the agency avatar.
All right, it's the agency avatar.
Which blanks support cards except for one he chooses.
Yes, he can pay 1 to choose a support card too.
So even his own festival is blanked, but more importantly, the pocket watch is blanked.
The pocket watch is blanked, which is very important for him. His festival is blanked, so is his attaché.
Mm-hmm. Did you just hand off a card?
He did. To presumably you.
That was probably where I was sitting. I don't know. During these tournaments, I'm so amped on coffee, I don't really remember them.
Gotcha.
We always have them at 11, and I'm like, well, I've drunk a whole giant mug by then. So Rod passes the turn after that. Ooh, a 3-drop without resourcing.
I know, I'm doing something crazy. Ooh, August Lundquist.
Good old August. August can divert wounds for the cost of a fate token.
Yes, he can. He was in there to slightly combat the toxemia. Obviously, he can't do it and still allow me to commit, but he does allow me to add extra wound tokens.
Yeah, he's a free wound, basically. You just give up your whole story phase for it.
Exactly.
Which I think is a fair trade-off. Oh, there's the initiate.
There is the initiate.
He takes away old lazy eyes.
And...
No? Yes? No?
Yes,
Choose, Ray.
no.
Choose.
What am I doing? That is the Carnival Sentinel.
Ah.
Who, if it's day, he's got a investigation icon normally. If it's day, he gains another investigation icon, arcane, and willpower, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's night, he gains terror, combat, and invulnerability.
They tend to come in those sort of matching sets, or sort of diametrically opposed sets, I guess.
Excuse me. If it's day, he gains an arcane, investigation, and willpower. If it's night, he gets toughness +1, terror, and combat.
Okay, that makes sense too. So potentially, if he gets wounded and then it stops being that time of day,
right,
he's out.
He's out.
Interesting.
But he does add a a terror icon to a deck that is otherwise very late in terror icons.
Well, you've got your lamp, you've got the sentinel,
Yep. That might be just about it, too. All right, so August is going up against the Baron. I think I made a mistake here.
In choosing to do that, or the way it resolved?
The way it resolved.
So
Right, the avatars all have Resilient. That's why he was showing you the top card of his deck. Because he knew what it was, because something had died due to Resilient.
Resilient is a new keyword, which means that when something's about to leave play, the owner may choose to put it on top of their deck.
Right. And I think that's what happens with Nyarlathotep. Sacrifice it, and he's got Resilient, so he goes to the top of the deck.
I love how we're rediscovering all these things as we play, or as we watch.
Yes. So I was able to kill the avatar, but basically he just drew it again.
Resilient is interesting in that way, is that it lets you sort of keep hold of key characters and support cards, but at the same time, you're also clogging your draw.
Right. Now, here's a case where Rod was able to very easily resource a conspiracy because he already had one in play and I wasn't going after it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the Plague Stone's in play now, and I'm actually drained out, so I am incapable of destroying the Plague Stone.
Mm-hmm. And the avatar's gone away, so all support cards are functional.
Correct. Although he is sitting in his hand.
Mm-hmm. He has not drained the major domain yet, I believe.
No, he has not. The only thing he's drained is the middle domain, actually, and that was to play the Plague Stone.
So he could potentially clear the board and then play out a beefy character.
Correct. He's activating the festival.
With all the bouncing back and forths, I feel like we've seen most of Rod's deck.
It does kind of feel that way, doesn't it?
Like it's from this perspective, I'm just sort of curious, what else can he surprise us with? Or we've basically seen it all because he played it or he resourced it.
Right. That was a prepared alienist there.
Mm. So he's resourced at least 2 alienists.
Right.
He's clearly seeing that it's not going to come into play in this deck.
There goes the Plague Stone.
Could the alienist have been Rod's teching against the Ythian Scout?
Yeah, very well could have been.
But even then, I think that just plays into the way Carlo plays the Ythian Scout.
Right.
Preventing it from moving.
So now he has taken the festival out of his graveyard and put it onto one of his domains.
Mm-hmm.
And he is now also using the...
Well, he recognized the Baron was resilient and opted to throw it on top of the deck and then shuffle.
Right.
Is that what that net effect was?
No, I'm just thinking the festival... I'm wondering if the festival was used right through that whole thing.
It's a question for the ages. Carlo
bowing down to Nyarlathotep. Yep.
saying hi. Checking out the story.
All right, I really need to get the festival just so I can read the card, and that way when I'm commentating...
You don't own the festival?
No, it came out of the Yogg-Sothoth box set, and I don't have that.
Yeah, it's truly an excellent box set.
It really is.
You get the festival. You get B. Ramsdale Brown.
Mm-hmm.
You get the Black Stone, which nobody ever uses.
You get a ton of Faded cards.
Mm-hmm. That's where Faded was invented.
That is where Faded was invented.
You get the only neutral prophecy, which nobody ever plays.
There's a neutral prophecy
There's a neutral prophecy.
that no one ever plays.
Right? It was the box after the one where prophecies first appeared. Everybody got a prophecy in that, except neutral, because they're not really a thing. And then the Key in the Gate had the prophecy, or the neutral prophecy.
Gotcha. I was say prophecies came out in the Miskatonic box set, did they not?
Mm-hmm. That was, if anything, it's one of the things that irks me the most about the way they design cards in this game. Is like, well, if we have a new mechanic, everybody has to get one, but we're not necessarily going to make it worthwhile for everybody to play it.
Right.
Like Syndicate has a truly excellent prophecy. And
it's one of the easiest ones to trigger.
Mm-hmm.
There goes Jacob. Whee! Jacob's winning something.
And then Cthulhu's was so great they restricted it because it was some of the little card recycling that faction has.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Ricard,
pretty much.
Ricard.
Yeah. Pretty much any anything that deals with resources and ramping up your resources gets restricted fairly fast.
Yes, it's true. Like I think a lot of people recognize, well, I have a window where I get to use it completely unrestricted, and then they're going to take it away from me.
Exactly.
Because FAQs do not always appear alongside a new box.
Now, see, personally, I feel I should have been able to keep my 4 success tokens at that story.
Were you that invested in them?
I was. I missed them. I'm sad that they're gone now.
At least there was no hack journalist.
This is true. At least there was no hack journalist. I mean, I did just win a story, so I'm actually up 2 stories to 1, maybe 2 stories to none. I think 2 stories to 1.
Mm-hmm. Was the turn passed?
I believe so.
Okay. It's fascinating viewing.
It is. It's very fascinating viewing. We're staring at the board. This was an exciting board.
Mm-hmm. One exhausted character. Where did the characters go? We just weed off and lose track of the game.
I do believe I bounced Nyarlathotep.
But he came back.
The very next day.
And the Claret Knight.
And the oh, no.
Your friend and mine.
Everybody's favorite friend, the Claret Knight.
And the Baron.
And I'm looking and I'm going, I've got a Meermans in there. He can start readying the...
So I was checking out his stories. I believe that's Chaos Unleashed.
Yeah, he's got to read the new story and play.
There's Village of Ash. And Within the Ice.
And then his conspiracy.
Mm-hmm. Which he's not super interested in. Nyarlathotep goes after the village, and then... No, Ninth Plague. What am I saying? That's the Ninth Plague.
Yeah, that is the Ninth Plague.
And then Claret Knight is going down in the ice.
And I'm going, I can make it night or day.
Tasty investigation on Nyarlathotep. That is rare in an Ancient One.
Yes, it is.
Of course, he's the other... Previously, he was the Ancient One with investigation. He's just in a different form now.
And now we've shut off the pocket watch again. And the festival. And the attaché. And if I had the lamp, it would have shut off the lamp too.
Love for lamp has been lost.
That it has. You know, it's better than a lamp, a pocket watch, apparently.
How do you read the pocket watch without the lamp, though? You have to make it day.
It's a golden pocket watch.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it radiates light.
Yes, it does. Can you see that card? It is obviously radiating light right now.
I think it's radioactive.
It could be. Really, apparently, I should just own a pawn shop. Yes, I've got this fine lamp here. And
so you are going to start playing Netrunner. Aesop's Pawn Shop, one of the better well-known core set cards.
Yeah, no.
Oh, you're off Netrunner again?
Yeah, I really did. I looked at it. I was like, I want to build a deck. And I was like, I don't want to build 2 decks.
Yeah. That's what got me. It's like, I have a hard enough time building a deck, let alone 2.
Yeah. Here's the initiate. Pick and choose.
Mm-hmm. Who do you love the most?
See, the problem is that if I could, I would just go bing, bang, boom, remove all his characters, but then I can't win a story this turn with just Jacob. So it's unfortunate.
You got to have some people left on the table because he's got 3 tokens on 2 stories.
Right. Gregory Gry, I believe.
The new Gregory?
I do believe that is Gregory Guy Muckraker.
Oh, from the Dreamland set.
Yes, that is Gregory Gry Muckraker.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's day, he gains willpower and toughness +2. And if there are no Dreamer characters in play, he gains pay 1 to ready him.
Interesting.
And otherwise, he's got 2 skulls and an investigation. He costs 3, and he plays for 3. And he's a criminal and an investigator, actually.
Interesting. So he's somebody who, normally in the Dreamland set, it cares that you have Dreamers.
Right.
Now this one cares that you don't have Dreamers.
Yeah, that there aren't any in play, period. Your
Right.
side of the board or your opponent's side of the board.
Yeah. Which is an interesting choice to make in when you're publishing a cycle that theoretically people are playing Dreamers.
Yes, it is.
You're basically saying, well, I don't want anyone to play Gregory.
Right. But outside of the cycle, like
Right.
now, when nobody's playing Dreamers in our meta,
Right. But at the time, I can't imagine anybody was that foresighted.
this is very true. Although a lot of the, it is straight Dreamers, and a lot of the cards that were being played, a lot of people are playing Dreamland support cards, but not necessarily Dreamers.
Well, I mean, both subtypes care about the number, who's got, if you have any or if you have the most.
Right, but the, like I could have 6 Dreamland support cards out there, and Gregory Gry would still work fine because he
Yep.
only cares about the Dreamer subtype on characters. So,
Sure. I'm just thinking at the time, though.
and since the Fanatic got restricted, what was
The Dreamlands Fanatic.
the Dreamlands Fanatic got restricted? There's a lot less chance of me bumping into a random Dreamlands character.
Right. That was one of the few Dreamers that showed up consistently because it had such an excellent jump into playability.
Right. There's the Initiate to remove something else.
The Baron.
Right.
And you've got 2 against the Claret Knight. Claret Knight's got a little terror. You can give Gregory willpower.
I can. No, I can't. I'm actually exhausted out of
Oh,
this
you're
window.
tapped out.
Tapped out. This was a last-ditch effort for me because if I don't win this story this turn, which I can't,
Yeah.
then he was just going to overwhelm me. He already had 2 1 stories. And he's just going to let me put down my 4 tokens. And I've got nothing to stop the Nyarlathotep, some random avatar onslaught that's going to come on this
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah, he just needs. I mean, if you're tapped out and you are truly tapped out.
Yeah.
He just needs to win one of those stories.
He just did. He just showed me 2 Nyarlathoteps in his hand.
How many copies does he have?
At least 2. I'm going to guess 3, though.
And he goes Baron Nyarlathotep.
Yep. And I've got nothing to defend against that.
Mm-hmm. Well, good game.
Yes.
Ray, thanks for coming back to the show to talk about it.
Hey, no problem.
And we want to encourage everybody to check out Decked Online. You can go to youtube.com/deckshow. Subscribe to us there. Watch out for videos as they come up. Be notified as new videos come up. And leave a comment and let us know what you think. Like the video. Thanks so much. And we'll talk to you next time on Deck.